lace up those cleats and put on those mitts. It's time for another exciting edition of Our Little Yankees podcast. Stepping up to the mic, it's the OLYP team.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome inside another brand spanking, super exciting edition of Our Little Yankees podcast. We're episode 10, folks. We are here. It is exciting. Lucky number 10, I guess, for a lot of people out there. And we're excited to give you the pulse of Yankees Nation right now as we start the new year. Happy 2021. I am Julian Coltree, joined alongside my two good friends, good buddies, good pals, Josh Levin.
What up, what up? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And Eric Ray Sepulveda. E-Ray, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys. How's it going, everybody? I'm here, and today I am in the computer chair. Let's go.
It happened. The computer chair is here.
Starting with a bang.
Yes, you're right. I agree. You went from terrible blue lighting where no one could see your face, and I think it was a wrestling chair, wasn't it?
It was. It's right here. Don't worry.
to moving you to a beautiful lighting spot with a brick wall in the background, and we had that little detour with Christmas tree last episode, and now we got the full package. We got the full E-Ray in his final form, right?
Yeah. Where am I going to be next week? I might be in one of your guys' apartments. I don't know.
I don't know. Let's hope not, right?
You don't want that. You don't want that. I'll tell you that.
Virus, bro.
Yeah.
Social distance.
That's true.
Yep.
That's true.
See?
Social distancing, everybody.
Absolutely. And speaking of social distancing, I feel like the Yankees are kind of social distancing from moves right now. I don't know if that's in solidarity or whatever it is, but I remarked to you boys when we were talking about what we were going to talk about on the pod today, and I said, worst offseason ever because it's January 5th. No big free agent has signed still. E-Ray's not getting pied in the face because George Springer and somebody else didn't sign yet, so we still have time for that. But we're sitting here, and like molasses in winter, nobody has signed.
I don't think it's just the Yankees that are socially distancing themselves from moves. I think baseball is socially distancing itself from baseball in general because this is brutal. I mean, we knew last week and the week before it would be quiet, but the fact that this week nothing has picked up yesterday, Monday, or today, Tuesday, I mean, I don't know what is going on, but I hope something changes.
That's what kind of stinks.
There's nothing. Yeah. Like literally nothing right now. It's boring. Like you got to give us. There's literally no juice, and you hope once one domino falls, like it just like opens up, the bloodbath for everything, and everything. Like people are signing everywhere, and then they'll be exciting for baseball fans. It'll be exciting for this pod. We just need something here because we're just grasping for anything right now. And I don't know, we still don't know when we're going to get that. So
it's funny because I feel like, and I've said this to you guys, numerous times, this offseason is even worse than 2 off seasons ago where it took forever for everybody to sign. And obviously so many free agents didn't sign that they had the independent free agent spring training. But at least, a couple of years ago, it was you're linked with Patrick Corbin, you're linked with Manny Machado, you're linked with Bryce Harper. They're entertaining them. They bring Manny Machado to the stadium. And then last year it was Garrett Cole all the way in. Yankees room in there. It's like you're not getting even nibbles. Like some of the guys that we think the Yankees should be in on. Today I saw a report that Corey Kluber is going to work out for teams. Yankees' name aren't even listed. And obviously we're very Yankee-centric on this. We're a Yankees podcast, so we have to be. But it's like, Jesus, man, and there's nothing. It's crickets.
It truly is, and I mean, I don't understand it. I mean, I know there's all this, back and forth with the players and the owners over CBA issues and labor issues, and obviously the pandemic. But I mean, the most excitement we've had as Yankee fans this offseason is looking at Trevor Bauer in a Yankee hat on Twitter trying to troll everyone. And I mean, I need something a little bit more than that.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, and the best thing to happen to the Yankees, as we talked about, I mean, plenty of times, is that other teams in our division are getting worse, and that's helping us out. But yeah, it really is like a slow time right now. But
anyway, the offseason's slow, and that means we're going to do this into a basketball podcast. Josh is wearing his Knicks jersey today, which means we're going to talk about the best team in New York right now and the only over 500. Oh, wait. The Yankees did make a move this week. And it is perhaps the biggest move in the history of this franchise, folks, I don't know if you saw it on Twitter, and if you had, you probably jumped out of your seat like me. Socrates Brito signed with the Yankees on a minor league deal. That's
Big
right, folks.
things.
The one and only Socrates Brito agreed to a minor league contract, according to MLB Network's John Heyman. That was, I want to say, January 1st. That was when I think Heyman tweeted about it. And he's a career minor leaguer, so I totally jest when I say it's the biggest move that could have been made out there. But, I mean, I guess in the world of nothing, this is a something.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, like you said, Jules, he's a career minor leaguer. He's 28, but he's a left-handed hitter who plays the outfield. So I guess you're going to see him. You'll probably see him a bunch in spring training, and then
we'll see him all season when everybody gets hurt.
Yeah, exactly. But at least
I was gonna say,
at least he's a left-handed hitter. At
Yep.
least he's a lefty. But
The
yeah, I mean,
odds-
this is nothing. This is nothing.
The odds that he hits a big home run in June this coming season is pretty high, probably, regarding all the other Yankees are going to be injured. So
what I would say is, Brian Cashman was frothing at the mouth to sign this kid, because whether it's the Mike Talkmans or the Mike Fords or whoever it is, Cashman loves these dudes. So you guarantee that either he'll be really good, like maybe a Gio Urshela type where he comes out of nowhere, or at a minimum, you'll get like 5 games on Yes Network where they talk about how the Yankees, got so much from this kid because they got him for cash considerations, like they always say now about Gio Urshela whenever we see him in the lineup. But as far as his only real cup of coffee in the majors, he did bat .303 with a .324 on base percentage and a .455 slugging. That was only 18 games with the Diamondbacks back in 2015. So really, at the end of the day, as both Josh and E-Ray really kind of laid out right there, it is, at the end of the day, a nothing little nugget in the water that we bring up because we are a Yankees podcast. E-Ray, I saw your hand raised.
yeah,
So
I do have.
call on you.
Speaking of nuggets, of course, reading his Wikipedia, this is an interesting nugget. He had the fastest base running sprint speed of all major league right fielders at 29.9 feet per second in 2018. How about that? That's why we got him, baby. Need more speed.
Here's the thing.
Oh,
Odds are he's probably, equally as fast as, I don't know how fast Tyler Wade ran, but I'm not putting this kid on the roster over Tyler Wade if it comes down to it.
No,
to be a pinch runner. So I know you're only jesting, but ultimately at the end of the day, unless something goes absolutely horribly wrong, in that case, all three of us might have done a group suicide and OLYP might not be around anymore. Hopefully we do not have to see Socrates Brito on the roster this year outside of spring training like Josh was talking about. Do you guys agree?
Yeah,
Yes.
well, maybe he'll play himself into a backup role, which is fine, but we don't want to see him playing right field or any other position on a daily basis in the middle of the spring or the summer. That's all I got to say about it.
Isn't this crazy? I mean, we're literally the offseason's so slow. We just spent 5 minutes talking about soccer.
We did. You're right. It's true.
Isn't
but
that, that's just how painful it is right now.
And that's what I'm saying. Because here's the thing: like any other offseason, I feel like if we were talking about this, let's say last year, pre-Garrett Cole signing, at least we would have talked about, all right, so there's some Garrett Cole rumors this week. These are the nibbles. This is the sort of things that we're hearing about right now because we've seen these insiders talk about it on Twitter, or maybe there's some things going on. It's like outside of Gary Dominican League talk that has dominated for the last 3 weeks, we got to go back to the take 'em and trash 'em that literally took 3 episodes to complete because of how little there is to talk about this offseason right now. There's not even injury news that, not knock on wood, that we can
Yeah, we don't
bash
want
about. Yeah, I don't want that. But I mean, at the end of the day, I'm knocking on wood underneath the table that I'm recording on. But something. I mean, we do have stuff to talk about in this pod. So if you're listening, do not exit out of the podcast because there will be topics that come up. But as far as current Yankee signings are concerned, there's absolutely nothing right now. And I can't stress that enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, as far as some of those news things that we were talking about, we did kind of have a little bit of a couple of things on our rundown that we wanted to get to and talk about. The first one is that a few days ago, it came out that Yasiel Puig, we all know him, we all love him, the Cuban sensation, was rumored to potentially be looking at several teams to be signed on, the team that was on that list was the New York Yankees. So for those of you who might not remember, Puig did not play last year. He signed with the Braves at the beginning of the restart, then got coronavirus, COVID, and then wound up not playing the rest of the year. Nick Markakis, who opted out, opted back in. They didn't need an outfielder anymore, and the rest, as they say, is history. So now, I guess at this point, over a year removed of playing professional baseball, but still, obviously, when he was there a couple of years ago, he was productive. What would you guys say if I came to you and said the Yankees were signing Yasiel Puig? Because that's what we see right now as a rumor.
I don't get it personally, because he's a right-handed hitter, and we don't need more of that. In my opinion, I feel we've stressed that a lot this offseason, that, they need to get left-handed hitting outfielders. So I don't see where he fits in unless this is sort of a improve the bench type of move, in which case, then I'm interested. But I don't want Yasiel Puig taking playing time away from Clint Frazier, for example. So it depends on the context in which they plan on using him, because, for me, I see it as, well, we already have somebody who can play left field. He hits right-handed. He's younger. And frankly, I want to see more from Clint Frazier before I see anything from Yasiel Puig in pinstripes. So I'm just hoping that if it does happen, it's sort of more of a bench situation than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Josh. I can understand, Brian Cashman's market. We talked about it every episode. The Yankee outfielders, they're injury prone. So I can understand wanting to have those players viable in case, these guys get hurt. I just think there's, better outfielders out there, especially we need lefties, right? Better.
Kyle Schwarber.
So better than Yasiel Puig. So I wouldn't mind if it's like maybe like a non-roster, non-guaranteed spot, like he's in training, you know what I mean? And he worked himself on the major league roster with a hell of a spring training. But I just agree with Josh. I don't really see where he fits right now. I think it's just Cashman, I mean, Yasiel Puig has had success in the past, so why not just, check in with the guy?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. If he was a lefty, I think you say to yourself, all right, you're buying low. I mean, as far as his career is concerned, he's a 277 hitter. He's got 130 plus homers. He can steal some bases, and he has, I would say, had obviously some on the field issues and related to his personality, but other than that, he's been a serviceable major leaguer. But he just doesn't check those boxes for the Yankees. And you guys both said that, so I don't really need to go that much in depth. But it's, if you change a thing here or there, if you make him a lefty hitter, if you make him somebody who maybe hits for a really high average, and therefore kind of like a Michael Brantley type, that maybe you're getting a buy low guy, but you can put him in there and you don't have to worry about him producing and hitting from all around the park. But I mean, this to go after a guy who didn't play last year, who is a average hitter, 277 lifetime, and is not a lefty bat, so therefore doesn't have that natural benefit of playing at Yankee Stadium. I said Kyle Schwarber, he's the guy you go get instead of Yasiel Puig if you can go get him. You might have to spend a little bit more money than taking a flyer on a guy who didn't play last year. But if you're going and looking for outfield help because you ultimately think that either your roster is going to get hurt or, you don't maybe trust whoever it is out there, you go with the guy who has a lefty bat who can hit for power at Yankee Stadium and will be able to do those things. Now, I will put out there that the Yankees were not the only team that were listed on this list of several clubs that Mark Feinsand posted on Twitter a few days ago. The other clubs were the Red Sox, the Astros, the Marlins, and the Orioles, as well as the Yankees. So there are suitors there, supposedly for Yasiel Puig. But when you see the Yankees as one of the few teams that are rumored, obviously our ears kind of perk up and we say, okay, what does this really mean? What do we think about it? And at the end of the day, is the plausibility of it that it happens? No, I honestly would say you would probably go to one of those other teams before he went to the Yankees. But you check it out and you look at it and you see what it is.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think there's anything wrong with Cashman checking in, especially because this is a guy who has had major league success before. He's not old by any means, and um, it's not going to cost you a lot of money because, like you said, he didn't play all of 2020. So I don't even know if he would get a major league contract at this point. He might be looking at a minor league deal. We just don't know. We haven't seen those rumors or those details. So it makes sense to Cashman says he casts a wide net. So this is one of those type of things, but I don't see the fit personally on the major league roster as a depth move, as a bench guy or someone that maybe they can stash at AAA for a little bit and then use if there's an injury or something, that I totally understand. But yeah, I mean, we said it. I just don't see the fit on the roster as it currently is right now. So
Yeah, I feel like they would probably bring back, depending on of course, everything's with the money right now. Even Brett Gardner back before Yasiel Puig. But like you were saying, if
That is
those are
important to
good
remember
picks-
that Brett Gardner is not signed.
Yeah, Brett
we
Gardner
are,
is chilling right now.
I
He's
know.
waiting.
For me, I kind of
Still
sometimes
DJ.
feel like he's already on the roster, but he is not signed yet.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. But he's just chilling until he's like, you handle the DJ stuff, and then you come back to me, and we'll try to figure something out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
As far as other potential Yankees rumors are concerned, this one actually handles stuff that is in-house, and that is what is going on with Masahiro Tanaka. We saw a report earlier in the week that was about the potential of Masahiro Tanaka going someplace that is not the Yankees. But if you are a Yankee fan, it is possibly the next best thing. I mean, you guys can be the judge about it. And that is the idea of Masahiro Tanaka returning to Japan. Of course, we all know and love Tanaka, and he's been on the Yankees for forever. But for those of you who even might not have followed the Yankees when this happened or didn't realize this, he pitched in Japan for the Golden Eagles. That was his original team until 2013. And on a recent Japanese radio talk show, All Night Nippon, not sure if that's how you pronounce it. So if it isn't, then, screw me, and I apologize in advance. Tanaka said that the possibility of returning to Japan is quote unquote not zero. So not zero is obviously not, yeah, I might go there, but it's also not, I'm not ruling this out if I can't find this. And we can go a little bit more in depth on what he said, but before we kind of break down anything related to this rumors, what I can say to you guys is this is the next best thing, because if he's not coming back to the Yankees, and we do want him back, but obviously he might not be able to financially, or the Yankees might not be interested in bringing him back financially, having him not stay in the majors and go back to Japan and become a non-factor in terms of pitching against New York or helping another team get to where they need to go, that's all you can ask for from a guy who we all love.
I agree. This is a guy, like you said, I want him back at the right price, obviously, and not to be relied on as the second starter in the rotation. But I want him to return, and I don't want to see him pitch for another major league team. I definitely do not want that. And if you think about it from his side of things, right, like saying it's not a 0% chance that he, goes back, he kind of has to say that. He kind of has to keep his options open, because right now it seems like a whole bunch of nothing is going on specifically with him. I mean, we say it in general, but there's nothing about him, circulating right now on the rumor mill. So he's got to keep his options open. And he probably is thinking, hey, if I don't get an offer from the Yankees or from another team that's, contending, maybe I just go back there for, another couple years, and maybe I stay there to finish my career out or come back to the majors eventually later down the line. But so when it comes down to it, I still want this guy on the Yankees. I think we all agree on that. I mean, I know E-Ray, I know you do. And and you also agree with me that if he's not going to be a Yankee, then we would want him to go back to Japan.
Just seeing him on Twitter right now, he's back in Japan currently. Just
Tweeted
again,
good morning just a few hours
he
ago.
did. I said good morning back to him. I hope he saw that. I want Tanaka to be happy. But I want Tanaka to be happy, not with another team, because then that makes me sad. So that's where we're at right now with me and Masa. But yeah, Masa, I think, tweeted on January 1st kind of backtracking from those reports saying there are some media reports about my future that I have no choice but to play for the Yankees of Japan, but that is no such fact. At this stage, I'm not limited to the teams I want to play next season, and I'm thinking about it from all the teams that interest me. So that's what Tanaka said. I mean, that's the back and forth there. But yeah, I mean, I hope he doesn't play for another team. I hope if he does continue to play baseball, I hope it's in Japan, because it'll just be painful to just watch him play for an opposing team, especially coming back into the Bronx, pitching against us. And I still think he can be a solid piece of this rotation. And I hope the Yankees and Tanaka, once we figure out this DJ LeMahieu thing, again, depending on the price, figure it out, and he comes back home to us. So
wait, so you're saying that the hot stove graphic that doesn't have Tanaka and has Garrett Cole, and then the 4 rest of the big question marks for 2021 is not the end all be all in terms of how successful we're going to have in pitching?
Yeah, actually, I think I saw this week that my 16-year-old dog Tito was back on there as the number 4 pitcher. He was number 5 3 weeks ago. So who knows? I mean, as the weeks keep going on,
Tito out there though, then
Tito might start for Tito might be the ace at the end, and he can't walk, folks. He can't walk. God bless Tito, but he can't walk, but he can throw. So we'll see.
You gotta one day when you go home bring Tito back, and that way he can be on the pod, and we can see the 16-year-old Chihuahua and just how awesome Tito is.
That would be something to see.
I agree.
Let's see if I'll stay in my lap for that.
As far as Tanaka leaving is concerned, that would open up a hole that the Yankees would hopefully need to fill, or hopefully would be interested in filling, as far as the free agent class is concerned, which kind of leads me to the next point that we're going to talk about in the podcast. We're going to do a fun little exercise. I can't call them our friends at Views from 314 because they don't know us and we don't really personally know them, but they are nice people that put out really nice content. And this week they helped us out by giving us some good talking points to talk about on the pod this week. So in a world where somebody leaves, you get the opportunity to replace them, boys. So I'm going to give you the tweet that they tweeted 2 days ago, and then I will give you the one that they tweeted today. But we're going to have a little fun with it. And here's what it was. It was a thought exercise. You can pick one former Yankee. They must be retired. They can't be on another team right now. So obviously anybody who was on the Yankees 2 years ago and now isn't on the Yankees anymore, you can't pick. If you can pick any former Yankee and 1 year of their career, and it must be a year in which they were on the Yankees for their career, and assign it to next year's team, who would you pick and why? So I did ask you guys this question before, so hopefully you brought your homework. And E-Ray, Josh,
E-Ray.
Whoever wants it. Yeah, well,
I don't know if E-Ray did his homework, so I'll give him some more time and I'll go first. I'll let him get a couple minutes of extra prep. So the way I did this was I wanted to limit it to players that I've actually watched. I didn't want to go back too far in history because, I mean, I looked at the tweet and a lot of people picked, 1978 Ron Guidry or, something that came before our time. So I wanted to keep it, to my lifetime, which is the early 90s to now. So And Ron Guidry is a really good choice because of the pitching needs that we've harped on so many times. But I'm going to go a different direction because another thing that I don't understand is why it's continually ignored by the front office. I want a left-handed hitter on my team. I want a left-handed hitter playing every day. So I am taking Hideki Matsui's 2004 season.
Wow.
Where he hit.
Wow. That's out.
That's out there, right?
That's out there.
298, 390 on base with a 912 OPS, 31 homers and 108 RBIs. He walked 88 times, struck out 103 times, and he hit, obviously, on the left-hand side of the plate. So that's my choice. He would slot perfectly into left field next to Hicks, and I think he would fit somewhere in the top 4 of the lineup. I think he'd be great in this lineup with the current roster. I'm not saying that he's the missing piece or the finishing touch on this team because I think there's some other things that need to be added on as well. But I think he would be a really good addition to the 2021 team, as well as the 2019 team, 2018 team too. So 2004 Hideki Matsui is my choice.
See?
Wow. That was actually phenomenal. I didn't even think about Matsui, and you covered all the bases. We need a lefty. It's Matsui is one of the clutchest Yankees ever, to be honest. So that was very impressive. I don't have anything impressive as that. I'm gonna go with what I think everyone was going with on Twitter, and I can just I like that you said like players that we've seen, and whether it's I was at the stadium when I saw him hit 3 home runs in one game, and just like going in just those 3 years between 05 and 07, I went to a lot of Yankee games. And I'm going to go with, I think, 05, 07, Alex Rodriguez. Because that was, those 2 years, especially 07, was like one of the best years I think we've seen as fans. I mean, he was just unbelievable in that season. And I just think that it wouldn't hurt. Just I know he's not a lefty, but to have, 2007 A-Rod on this lineup. And the big thing is,
are you going to say it? That's what I was going to ask you.
I saw it on Twitter, and I agree with everyone on Twitter. Put Gleyber Torres back to second and put 2007 A-Rod at short. I know in 2007 he played third, but no. Put 2007 A-Rod at short, Gleyber at second, and I'm good to go.
I like it. Honestly, that didn't even cross my mind. But that's a good one, too.
Yeah.
That's a good one, too.
All right, so I feel like I'm gonna get a little shame for mine, but this is the one that I picked.
Oh boy!
I picked 2009 Alfredo Aceves.
Wow!
And the reason why was.
Are you serious?
I swear to God, the Yankees. I swear to God, I'm not.
He was really good. I like that guy a lot.
Yankees need bullpen help. He was an innings monster. Pitched 90 innings from the bullpen that year. Obviously, if you hate wins, then you don't care about the stat. But he was 10-1. So whenever the Yankees needed a big inning limit there, it's like he was a guy that Joe Girardi could trust out there. He got a bunch of strikeouts. He had a nice number of strikeouts, 69 to be exact. And I feel like maybe it's not the sexy pick, because ultimately, if I said to you, like, could you, like Josh said, like people on Twitter could say you could add Ron Guidry to starting staff or make Babe Ruth your cleanup hitter or whatever it is. But it's like for 2021, if I could think of something that I could add to this team that maybe would it fit their kind of cheap idea right now.
Oh, yeah, you're thinking about that too. That's good. That's good.
Add a really good reliever who's going to eat a bunch of innings for you, and you can put out there in that same way that they used to put guys like Tommy Kahnle or David Robertson or stuff like that out there. So that was kind of my
all right. So you guys both, your picks were very strategized. I went with the sexy pick because I know this team can't afford 2007 A-Rod.
That's for sure.
Actually, you know what?
I don't know. Could they afford 04 Matsui, who made $7 million?
They definitely could afford 09 Alfredo Aceves. I don't have his contract off the top of my head, but I can only imagine that was incredibly cheap. So you know that they definitely liked him. As far as some of the other things that you guys were talking about on Twitter, I figured it'd be fun to kind of see what other people said and did out there. A lot of 1978 Ron Guidry's talking about him and Garrett Cole. We had a 99 Jeter or an 09 CC. Obviously, both good
great
picks.
choices.
09 CC was great. 99 Jeter, one of the best years for Jeter. Then the A-Rod ones and the Jeter ones really took up a whole bunch of time now that I'm looking at these. Somebody said 97 Pettit, his 240 innings and his 8.4 BWAR. He only gave up 7 home runs in those 240-plus innings. So maybe 97 Pettit, one of the more underrated Yankee pitching performances that we don't really talk about. A lot of 07 A-Rods, like I said. And as I'm kind of scrolling up here, and I know this isn't the most entertaining radio to just see me reading my Twitter feed, but trying to get you a good one. And then last but not least was 2003 Jorge Posada.
Oh,
you know, I was thinking Posada too, but I thought that was kind of low-hanging fruit because Gary. But by the way, Alfredo Aceves in 09 made $407,000, slightly less actually.
See,
so.
They can't afford that.
Perfect for the Yankees. No, that's here's the thing. Jokingly, they can't afford it, but narrative-wise, Brian Cashman would nut all over the place if he could spend that much on a reliever who's going to get you almost 90 innings.
I have to tell you something. I really, logging into this podcast today, doing it, I did not think I was going to hear an Alfredo Aceves mentioned. So thank you for that. That actually brightened my night.
I'm going to say this, two things, and this is the truth. One, I love Alfredo Aceves, not related to my second point. But I was big on him in 2009, and I was huge on Bartolo Colon when he came to the Yankees. Like, back when they took a flyer on him, what was that, like 2011 or 2012?
Well, I think. No, it was 11. It was 11.
I called him in high school, big game Bartolo, well before Mets fans went out there and stole their big sexy bullshit that they had to go out there and talk about. So for any Yankee fan who wants to say that they love Bartolo Colon, it started with me. And I'll go to the grave thinking that. Big game Bartolo, coined by me, just like DJ LeMahieu. So
DJ LeMahieu.
That is true.
Those are my 2 points. As far as the fun is considered going with views from 314, they also did an opposite of yesterday question. So they tweeted this today. Who on the current roster would have greatly helped another year's Yankees? Be specific about the year and why. And they made sure the preface to say, do not say Garrett Cole, because as Josh kind of mentioned, it's low-hanging fruit. Anybody can say Garrett Cole because having that good of an ace is going to get you that type of person. So hit me with your thoughts, boys.
All right. Well, for this one, actually, my choice may not count because – so, wait, was it from 2020, the 2020 roster, or right now?
I would say either the start of the 2020 season to now.
Okay.
So whoever's going into the 2021.
All right.
You can like DJ counts, like all the people that played last year, they can count.
And,
All right. Well, then I'm taking DJ.
Last year's roster.
I'm taking DJ, and I'm putting him on the 2015 Yankees because I don't want to see Steven Drew ever again for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And that whole season was so frustrating with them trying to make this work when we knew it didn't work. We knew it would never work. They tried to force it so hard, and it was a disaster the entire time. And then the second half of the season, when the first half of the year, more than that actually, up until the end of July, that team looked like they could win a championship. And all of a sudden in August, it came crashing down. The Blue Jays caught us and lapped us in the division. I think LeMahieu would have been a great fit on that team because that team always felt like they were missing the guy that could get the big hit at the big time. I can't tell you how many times I watched them load the bases or get 2 men on with less than 2 outs and no runs scored. And I would throw my headphones. I would throw my remote. It was the most frustrating 2 months of my fandom, maybe. And then, that carried all the way through into the wild card game that year. I don't know if they would have won a championship just with adding DJ because there were some other problems, but I think things could have been a lot different if they had a guy like 2020 LeMahieu on the 2015 team, because Steven Drew was a black hole and DJ is the complete opposite of that. And he's the guy that you want up in a big spot with runners on base or a guy to start a rally. That's the perfect player for that. Yeah,
especially 20. I mean, man, I am just getting hot thinking about Steven. Like you said, like that year was just Steven Drew. And I remember like when he would get a hit and it'll be like, oh my God, he just got a base hit. He just earned another 3 weeks on the roster.
Yep.
He's like, every little hit, RBI single, he earned more time. It's just, can this guy get the hell off this team? So that's a good one. I feel like you can add DJ LeMahieu to any of the Yankees' previous teams, right?
I agree.
So the position
100%.
he plays, and he'll be good. So, of course, I have a couple. So the one that made sense, and I saw this on Twitter that some people were mentioning as well, that I agreed with, was 2004 Zach Britton, right? They were saying, oh, we'll get David Ortiz out. But then my thinking was, What? Yeah, Zach Britton would definitely made hopefully David Ortiz or something ground out and stuff like that, lefty. But what would have made, the reason that these pitchers in 2004, Tom Gordon and Paul Contreras, is because they pitched like 80-something thousand games and their arms were like dead because of Joe Torre, you know what I mean? So what makes you think that Joe Torre wouldn't have done the same to Zach Britton, to be honest, in that year? But yeah, Zach Britton's a sexy choice. And honestly, I think for me, if we had to pick someone, I think 2010, we did not get Cliff Lee. So, and we needed starting pitching. So right now, if we had to do last year or this year, I think I would I know Severino had Tommy John, but either Severino or even Tanaka, just add them to 2010. And then, because
I was thinking that too.
I feel I'll say Tanaka because we don't know about Severino, right?
Yeah.
Tommy John. But you had Masahiro Tanaka, even though he had a down year this year, but you had the 2010. That team should have won a World Series championship. They should have been back-to-back champions. And I could say the same for 2004. I mean, add one of those starting pitchers to 2004 because, guys, 2004. You had Tanaka or Severino, even Severino coming off Tommy John to 2004. It's a lot better than Kevin Brown, Jared Wright, all these guys. Did I say Jared Wright, right? That was the guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it was basically Moose and nobody else.
Yeah. So you add one of the starting pitchers from today back then, and I think we have a lot better opportunities to, win a championship or be a lot better.
I like that. That's a good for me. I think that kind of hits on it, and I don't know. It's fun and interesting. As far as mine were concerned, the person who I actually would have picked, and I gave it a decent amount of thought, and I was tempted to go the 04 route like you guys. I was definitely tempted to put DJ LeMahieu anywhere, but I figured, that's kind of low-hanging fruit the same way with Garrett Cole. So what I actually decided was putting Gio Urshela on the 2017 team instead of Chase Headley.
Oh, that's
that's good
choice. That's a really good choice.
I figured when I look at Chase Headley, yeah, he had that big play in the rally in the playoffs against Houston where he fell on his ass and then still didn't get thrown out. But other than that, he batted around 250 throughout the entirety of the regular season. And his defense, while fine, is not Gio Urshela's defense. So I think, who knows, maybe Gio Urshela can't hit Charlie Morton's breaking ball in the ALCS just like every other Yankee couldn't in the 2017
well, he
ALCS.
Couldn't hit it in the 2021 either, so.
Yep, it's true. So, but I figured at least as far as the regular season is concerned, maybe that gets them a few more wins and maybe that changes the trajectory of what their playoff run actually looks like because maybe they don't have to face Houston because something else happens or something. But I figured as far as an immediate change is concerned, that's something. The only other thing I would have done was DJ LeMahieu for Starlin Castro. But I don't think Starlin Castro, he had a 300 batting average.
Actually, yeah, I actually liked Starlin Castro.
He was pretty good. And the only difference would have been that DJ can hit, and that would have helped them in the playoffs. But, when you ultimately think about it, I think you kind of have to make the moves for the regular season rather than the playoff just because you don't really know what might have happened. And so that was what was ultimately my deciding factor with going with Chase Headley and the Gio Urshela swap.
You know what else I'll say, actually? I would even add, I mean, they still wouldn't have won, but I would add 2020 Gary Sanchez or Gary Sanchez right now to 2013. I'd rather have that than Chris Stewart. Chris Stewart start like 80-plus games as catcher. I'd rather have this Gary Sanchez. That's another one that I thought of right now.
You could put Glaber. You could put Glaber on the 2013 team because that was a disaster as well. Brian Roberts.
I mean, heck,
was that 2014?
That was 2014.
That were like terrible in like 2014 and stuff like that. Yeah. At least then you get a bat.
Yeah, I think you could take pretty much any of their everyday players from the current team and put them on any of the teams from, say like 2013 to 2016.
Yeah.
And they'd be a lot better off than they were.
Yep, I agree. Absolutely. As far as what other people were thinking and talking about on Twitter, somebody said, like we kind of talked about, 2017 Yankees with Stanton at DH in the playoffs instead of Headley and Ellsbury's ghost.
Yeah, I saw that tweet too.
Luke Voigt on the 2017 team. I know they started with Chris Carter as the first baseman to begin that year. And then I think by the playoffs, I'm pretty sure, a mix of Headley.
It was Headley and Bird.
And yeah, Bird.
Remember, Bird hit a homer off Andrew Miller. I don't know if you remember
got
that.
Him 3 years of extra work, but we don't need to talk about that. So Voigt in 2017, that's a great pick. Obviously, Zach Britton in 04. Somebody said DJ in 2014, and then views from 314 said pour one out for Brian Roberts. Sanchez in 04, he throws out David Roberts with his gun. That's an interesting one. And then LeMahieu in 15, which talk about a upgrade over Stephen Drew. You're talking about that. And
Chapman in 2001 probably gets the save. I'm just kidding.
Hey, no, he doesn't. Are you kidding me?
I'm kidding. I just wanted to start
a homer instead.
That's such a hot take. Yeah, man. Chapman would have got this. Chapman would have blew by Luis Gonzalez.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. And then I'm trying to look there. I think there's one more. Yeah, one more. Luke Voigt on the 04 Yankees. They had 100 wins, but below average production for first base and DH. And this person wrote, I vividly remember watching the LCS and thinking if only our team was healthy, and then realizing the crazy situation to be in at first base.
Yeah.
So those were some of the other answers that Yankee fans gave as far as those two questions. Those are fun, though. Kind of hope that River at Blues does a couple more of them, because ultimately, one, that killed a little bit of the time here in the pod, and we didn't have to complain about the Yankees being cheap. And then it also gave us an opportunity to kind of go back in the history books. And Josh and I gave some awesome ones, and E-Ray was pretty much chalk, right?
Hey, right. Right.
Last but not least, speaking of past Yankees, and of course a staple of the 09 team, has not pitched in the last two seasons, but we wanted to give a tip of the cap to Phil Hughes, who, of course, was the setup man for the Yanks when they won in 09. Remember that hyped-up Yankees starting prospect rotation that included him and Ian Kennedy and Jabba Chamberlain. And like I said, he did not pitch the last 2 years. He spent more time being on Twitter and rooting for the Tampa Bay Lightning, but he did officially announce his retirement this week. So shout out to Hughes.
Yeah, they couldn't have won in 09 without him. I remember when he moved to the bullpen, it really stabilized things because, the rest of the team was really good, but the bullpen was kind of shaky. And then he came in and he kind of fixed it all up, plugged in all the holes. And yeah, without him, he was dominant, and they would not have won that championship without him. So while he was, the hyped up prospect, and he never really ever came close to living up to that hype, it's important to remember that without his contributions in 2009, that team probably wouldn't have won a title. So he'll always be remembered fondly for me because of that, not even taking into consideration the fact that, he never became the ace we hoped he would be.
That's true. The thing, right? When you win a title, though, that like you're always going to be remembered for that. So shout out to you. Exactly.
Though I will say this, and I'll throw you guys to the trivia question. 09 World Series, final game. Phil Hughes, obviously he did his work, but who is the big bullpen hero? Do you guys remember?
Damaso Marte.
Yeah, Marte.
Yeah,
yep.
See?
Marte was lit.
He was.
I agree.
Lit.
He was, yeah.
I feel like
it was he was really they needed him because those lefty hitters, Utley and Howard, he got him out every time.
Yep, he was, and that's the thing I really remember, because I feel like going into that, and he was a part of that Xavier Nady trade. Yeah. Shout out to him. I feel like he was good, but like a lot of people said he had a lot of hype, especially as a lefty reliever, which are extinct now. But to see him like do it in the World Series is something I remember just being really awesome. But going back to Phil Hughes, before I let E-Ray get on a soapbox because he has something special to say about Phil Hughes, Yankees definitely don't win in 09 without him. And I always kind of felt that I would have loved him to just kind of stay in the bullpen. I felt he was so dominant there, and I know the Yankees were really obsessed, especially with that core, to get all the three of those guys to be starters. But you look at a team like Tampa this past year that just has a stable of guys throwing 98 or whatever it is that Kevin Cash said. It helps to have guys like that who can go out there and lock you down. And I feel like once they took him out of that and they tried to retransition him into being a starter, I mean, he wasn't terrible, but ultimately he just never really played in New York. And then he wound up going to Minnesota, and the rest, as they say, is history. So, E-Ray, give us your spiel.
Well, hold on a
Yes.
second. I just want to say one thing first. You bring up a good point. If this happened now, if Phil Hughes came up now and they moved him to the bullpen in 2021 and he was lights out and helped them win a title, he would have stayed a reliever.
Yeah.
And same goes for Jabba, I think. 10, 12 years ago when this was all happening, it was baseball was just a different game. So that, you have these stud pitching prospects who have been starters for, their entire professional lives. You try to make it work as much as you possibly can. Whereas now, with how valuable and how different teams view relief pitching, I think those guys would have stayed in the bullpen. It's like a Dylan Betances type of situation. When it didn't really work as a starter, they moved him to the pen and they kept him there because he was outstanding. They didn't try to move him back once he found his stuff. So I feel
really what could have been if Jabba was a reliever.
Yeah, I mean,
both of them. But
it
both
was
of them
so
too,
much of a back and forth, snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap. It ruined them. It ruined Jabba more. Phil Hughes, I think, went to Minnesota and he actually had, more of a career. But I think Jabba Chamberlain was kind of lost from it after that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think he got hurt. Remember, he got hurt like jumping on a trampoline or something.
Yeah, with his son.
Kid. Yep,
with his son. Yeah. Man, Jabba was.
He was cool though. His dad at the games was always lit. He was hyped.
Yeah.
When Jabba would do his fist pump and stuff. Jabba was awesome. Anyway, story for another day though. E-Ray, you have something to tell us.
So back to Phil Hughes. Him and I, we have an interesting relationship because, as I do on Twitter, I get a little angry. And Phil Hughes, as we were talking about it, they kept messing him up. Not his fault. Started not pitching well for the New York Yankees when it came to 2012, 2013. And I used to voice that opinion to the public on Twitter. Some tweets, I might add. Phil Hughes has to leave and never come back. So, but you suck. Hashtag I'm not sorry. Then we have, I know Ichiro made that error, but I just can't stand Phil Hughes. So much. Capital HATE. Leave and never come back, dude. Seriously, go away. Then I have Phil Hughes, everybody. Fucker. Then I had Phil Hughes is terrible. Brutal. Leave. Go away. And then I said, Phil Hughes, 8 shutout innings. Yeah. I just said Phil Hughes, guys, with 8 shutout innings. Hashtag wow. So, tweeting that, didn't at the guy. He must have searched his name or something during that time because I was blocked. So I got blocked by Phil Hughes, the only athlete I think that has blocked me, surprisingly. I haven't checked anyone else. I mean, I have called out a lot of New York Yankees on Twitter. But then on October 31st, 2018, a great day in E-Ray history, Phil Hughes tweeted that I couldn't see that someone sent to me because, of course, I was blocked. Fitting the Red Sox parade would be on Halloween. I can't imagine a scarier scene. So I tweeted and screenshotted his tweet. And I said, my boy Phil Hughes, I couldn't retweet it because I'm still blocked by you. Phil, come on, bud. I'm sorry for all the mean things I said. Times are rough, but I forgive you. Forgive me. My friend tweeted at him saying, hey, man, Erie's a great guy, great Yankee fan. He apologized. Can you please unblock him? And he unblocked me.
Wow.
He didn't
Great
say
story.
anything, but he didn't need to because now, I mean, he's a great Twitter follow too, Phil Hughes.
Oh, yeah, he's fantastic.
But he unblocked me in 2018, so I think it was a 6-year back and forth where I was blocked by him, but now we're good. And thank you, Phil Hughes. Congrats on a great career. Sorry for those mean tweets. I don't tweet like that anymore. I give a lot of respect to players nowadays. So now,
I don't know what planet you're on.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. If that gives anybody who listens to this podcast a preview of what to expect in about 4 months' time when the Yankees have their random Sunday game out in Anaheim at 10 p.m., just tune in to @ERayChosen1 on Twitter. and you will see more stuff just like that. So that,
I
that
don't
was a
know.
perfect tease for that.
I don't know if they're going to have to wait 4 months because spring training starts
You're
next
right.
month. And
You're right. You're
that
right.
doesn't mean, just because it's spring training and exhibition, that doesn't mean an E-Ray slows down. An E-Ray gets going.
I never slow down.
He never stops. Absolutely. That was a great story, though, E-Ray. I never
Right?
actually knew I never knew that he unblocked you. So the ending there was just perfect and a perfect capper for Phil Hughes' career. Thank you for sharing.
I'm meeting him for lunch on Tuesday. No, I'm not.
When I tweet this out from the official OLYP Twitter account, which you can follow at @LilYanksPod, I'll tag Phil Hughes, and he can hear your thoughts on
Do it.
apologizing to him and you guys making up and him saying to have a great career. So tip of cap to Phil Hughes, and you know what? He was a great Yankee. I'm glad he got to win a ring in 2009, and they couldn't have done it without him. Well put, right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes,
absolutely. E-Ray, before I wrap us up here, you got any breaking news for me? That's usually your shtick at this time of the show.
I've been trying to find some stuff, but nothing's really breaking right now. But I do have a stat. I always provide a stat. In 4 starts this year in the Puerto Rican Winter League, Yankees right-hander Luis Medina went 1-0 with a .54 ERA, 32 strikeouts, 6 walks in 16.2 innings. I always, if I don't have breaking news, I have to throw a stat. But, yeah, that's really what I got. And I think, what's his name? Speaking of, it's not related to the Yankees because they're no way connected to him, but Sugano's supposed to sign today, right? Tonight at some point?
I think he has until Thursday to sign.
Oh,
so
okay.
It should be happening any day now, any moment.
Yeah. And as we remind everybody who listens to this podcast, we do usually record it on Tuesday nights and it's posted Wednesday morning, give or take. So that usually means we're a little bit behind the news, and we can always do an emergency pod if, God forbid, DJ LeMahieu signed tomorrow or something like that. But at least for the time being, that's kind of the timestamp for when you're listening to this. All right, boys, any final thoughts before I wrap stuff up?
I'm going to keep saying what I've been saying, and hopefully something happens here at some point so we have something real to talk about.
Yep, absolutely. E-Ray? Nothing. He's on mute, so we don't even have to give him the opportunity to speak. He'll get pied if George Springer does not sign first. So we'll hopefully.
I was going to say Sugano's not a part of that.
No.
Yeah, no. It's only. Yeah, it's legitimate. Like, not to say that he's not legitimate.
Oh, no, I'm just kidding.
No, yeah, I know, right? But it would have to be like another big free agent. So a Trevor Bauer or, a DJ LeMahieu or somebody like that. So I do give you the benefit of the doubt. Don't worry.
All right.
We're going to make you pie yourself on camera here. There needs to be a little bit of an advantage to you, just as there's an advantage to me and Josh. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Anyway, as always, you can follow us on Twitter at @LilYanksPod. You can follow me on Twitter at Julian Coltree. Follow Josh on Twitter at Heel11. Follow E-Ray on Twitter at E-Ray Chosen One. And then you can find our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, on SoundCloud, or wherever you get podcasts. But until then, hopefully the Yankees sign DJ LeMahieu. It's never a bad day to do it, Yankees, so get it done. And until next time, folks, we'll catch you later.